You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains. Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me.
Yes, it is. It is Unsealed. Welcome back. The official podcast of Wings of the Eagle. Christopher Manta is me, your friend. And please tell me who you are, where you're from. If this is your first time engaging with Unsealed or whatever, feel free to type that in right into YouTube. Or if you're watching on Facebook or X, even better, just go ahead and let me know. And of course, any question, comment, or concern throughout our time here, if we can get to it, we will. And if it's not live that you're asking the question, I'll get to it prayerfully soon. Okay. We want to get right to it today. Hello, Jennifer. You made it. You're first. If you're listening on audio, by the way, we are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the rest at also wingsoftheeagle.com/unsealed. And we could use your support as well. Go to wingsoftheeagle.com/support unsealed and give what you can, because this is not free. And our brother in India checking in where it's evening. Bless you, sir. So again, Wings of the Eagle is always concerned about what's going on in the real world in real time. And this is one of those things. Okay. And it kind of is bringing together maybe worlds or areas of life that are not comfortable for you to associate together. But if you are obviously in America, especially, there is something you can do immediately if you care about what we call disclosure. In other words, revealing what we know about the UFO subject, UAPs, crash retrievals, on and on and on, the cover-up of our government, and other governments, by the way. But as far as we can in America, we're actually pushing the ball forward in legislation. So that's legally pushing back on the extreme secrecy that has dominated all administrations. It doesn't matter who's in office, presidentially or whatever. I think we're deceived a lot of the times into thinking, this particular president is pro or against or whatever. The folks who are keeping these secrets look at our elected officials as temporary employees. They don't respect our voice as the people who elect them, the representative democracy that we're exercising, the responsibility and accountability that provides. They don't care about any of that. They're looking at this as another Manhattan Project that can never be revealed. So if you care about all that, I understand I'm kind of speaking to my own country here more than other countries, but you can actually help, because right now we're in a middle of what we call the August recess in our Congress. So the Senate and the House of Representatives are adjourned right now. They're not actually doing any voting. They're not doing their job in Washington, D.C. They're back home in their districts. MS says, what's the Manhattan Project? I'll circle back to that in just a minute, okay? So we're in the middle of August recess. So the senators and Congress people are back home. And a really simple, easy, I think it's easy, but many people are afraid of doing this, is to reach out right now. If you haven't already, you probably haven't. Whatever state and district you're in, you live in a state, you have 2 senators. You live in a congressional district. In my state, it's a small state, so I have 1 district. That means I have 1 representative. That makes it easy. I know who it is. Make contact with them. 3 people, your 2 senators and your representative. Reach out to them and request a meeting with them personally. You're probably going to get a staff member instead to talk to you. Be that as it may, I'm literally wading through that right now. I have a meeting today after this podcast ends with one of my representatives, with the chief of staff for them. And then I actually got an email literally 10 minutes ago for one of my senators' meetings that will be happening tomorrow. So, and that's not, I'm just a normal guy. Okay. I'm just Joe Schmo over here. Yeah, I happen to have a title or whatever as a pastor. Does that get me anywhere? Probably not, honestly. It really has never helped me in any other part of life. So you just got to make the move. You just got to reach out, make the appointment. And during this August recess is critical because they are not in Washington. So you have the potential of actually meeting them face to face, or at least having more availability on their schedule with staff that are not assigned to legislation or, meetings of their own. Anyway. So you may or may not know, but a couple of months ago, first of all, last year, we had this whole drama beforehand, which is there's something called the UAP provision of the NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act. Senator Chuck Schumer, Senator Rounds, Senator Rubio, Senator Gillibrand. These are very powerful people. In fact, Schumer is the most powerful senator in America. And Rubio is pretty close. So they drafted legislation that talked about things like UAPs and recovered technologies and biological materials and compartmented information and disclosing of things that shouldn't be held back, and non-human intelligence. All this stuff is in law. And there were prescriptions to fix this. Declassify immediately if you can't prove it should be classified. Declassify everything within 7 years unless the president specifically says no. And even at that, there'll be a panel of outside government people to determine whether this should stay classified. There's this whole system in there. And by the way, because they know and we know that much of this technology that has been recovered, and yes, it's real, is in the hand of contractors. In other words, private companies, aerospace companies. They make airplanes and missiles and weapons. They're the ones who have the stuff. I would assume most of it, if not all. We kind of imagine the stuff is in a secret army or Air Force or whatever bunker somewhere. And that may have been the case at one time, and there may still be some things, but most of it's not. Most of it's in the hands of American companies, and they refuse to talk about it. And they're not under law, so they don't have to talk about it. And they don't have to reveal anything. But part of this legislation last year was called eminent domain. In other words, if we discover that your company has some of this stuff, we're taking it, whether you want us to have it or not. And a lot of conservatives are like, they're scared off by that because they hate the whole premise of eminent domain. But I'm 1,000% behind it, because you can't. These folks are not going to be made to be moral all of a sudden. They're not going to do the right thing. They have to be threatened righteously with legal action and seizure of their assets. And it doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the people of America. Okay? Anyway, this whole process went through last year. And if you don't know how the Congress of the United States works, the Senate will, for example, the Senate, either side can, Senate or the House, but the Senate creates a bill. It writes the legislation down. This is what we want to pass. So then they debate it. They go into committees. They go into the full Senate, and they say, okay, is this what we want to say we want to pass? Okay, this is the final version. It'll be changed before the final version a lot of times. So new things added, mostly amendments. But then it's not a law yet. You have to go to the other side and reconcile it with the House of Representatives. They have to, if they don't agree exactly word for word on the law, it has to be changed. They have to what they call reconcile it. So both houses can agree. This is the final bill. Okay, House and Senate both agree. This is the new law. Go to the president to sign it. If he signs it, then it's the law. What happened last year was many, basically the best parts, some parts remained of the disclosure parts of the NDAA, but some were removed. And I'm not going to get into all that, but we've done a podcast about who might have been behind that. In fact, we know the Pentagon was behind it. We know, I want to say Rogers. What the heck? Mike Turner of Ohio, who happens to be the congressman of where Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is, which if you know your UFO history, that's a major location of stuff and history. But he and his committee stripped all the eminent domain and other stuff out of it, including the Pentagon was literally lobbying the Congress. The Secretary of Defense was lobbying the Congress saying, don't do this. So what the heck is going on? Anyways, it got stripped. It got emasculated. Okay. Some parts remained, like the National Archives would have things that it never had before, which they did, and which some very interesting things have come out and are there and are going to, and are mandated by law that they all show up in the archives by October something. So stand by for that. But the big stuff wasn't included. It was stripped out because they were afraid. They didn't want to give up these secrets and this tech to the public. So it kind of failed. Well, guess what? This year came around, Schumer and Rounds, and now it has 6 co-sponsors. That means 6 people are actually putting their name on it saying, we endorse this. This law, we like it. We're supporting it. We're pushing it through. We're putting our name, our reputation on the line. Their reputations, including language like UAPs, UFOs, crash debris, non-human intelligence, technology of non-human origin, all this stuff. It's not a game. Senators don't put the most powerful Democratic senator in the country does not put his name on stuff that he doesn't know is true. Think about it, right? So in the description, by the way, if you don't know about this, you can click on the description. You go to the New Paradigm Institute. Okay, New Paradigm Institute has awesome information and resources and things that that will help you, including that page that you're linked to below will say demand Congress include UAP DA in the NDAA. What is that? Okay, short version is UAP Disclosure Act. They have come back again this year. Schumer and the gang put all the stuff they had in it last time that got taken out. It's back. It's in a whole little section called UAP Disclosure Act, UAPDA. UAPDA. So what you have to do if you care about this, and don't say you care if you're not willing to do this. As an American, you must be willing to do something, right? You have to tell your senators and your congressperson, man or woman, you want this UAP Disclosure Act included in the next version of the what we call the National Defense Authorization Act, NDAA. That's what gives all the money and all the programs to the Pentagon and where all this money goes and where all this law is written. That has to do with anything with the armed forces. Okay? If you care about it, this is what you have to do. You have to tell your senators, because it's in the Senate now. It hasn't gone to the House yet. The senators need to know you care that this UAP DA stays intact, not only gets inserted in this bill, but stays 100% intact. Don't take any parts out. Don't change anything. Schumer knows what he's talking about. They know how to write this stuff. Rounds, they know what they're doing. Keep it as is. Don't debate it. Don't oppose it. I want you to vote for it. And this is what I'm going to tell my folks today and tomorrow. Support it. Do not oppose it. I want you also to first of all, get educated if they don't know what's in it, because a lot of the times they just don't care. They just skip right over it. They don't know what's in all these bills. It's sad but true. I want you to support this. I want you to tell your colleagues in private to support this. And I want you to go in public and support it. Ideally, I want you to put your name as a co-sponsor, Senator A and Senator B, depending your state, who your senators are. I want your name on this. Of course, they don't have to. It's up to them. But you as a citizen, as a constituent, as a voting, registered voter constituent like me, if you're like that, even if you're not, I mean, you have to be constituent. You have to be in their state for them to listen to you. And if you're not in their district, like a representative's in a district, a piece of a state, if you're not in their district, don't even bother. They will listen to you if you're their person, if you're in their place, they're responsible for where you live. If you live there, then they'll listen. Tell them you want your name on it, Senator so-and-so. I want you to support it publicly, privately. I want you to co-sponsor it. It's that important to me. Because I'm sick of this. This is the biggest lie that's ever been put on our country, ever. And there's legitimate consequences for generations now. And it just needs to end. It needs to come out. We need to come clean. You care about transparency. You care about government accountability. You care about where my money goes. Then do this. Right? Tell your congressmen and your senators now to pass the NDAA intact. Right now, it's the Senate. When they come back from August recess in a couple weeks, they're going to be back at work and they're going to take up this bill. It's possible that September or October could be the end of this vote. It could be over within a couple of weeks. So you need to tell your senators now. Go to New Paradigm Institute, get the information. It's Citizens for Disclosure is a grassroots thing that anyone can join. You want to be part of this. You want to let them know that you care, and many other people who live in your state and your district care. So that's it. Do that. That's how you can help. That's where we're at right now in August. We'll see where it goes after this, but right now, get your senators on the phone, get in their face, literally at their desk, in their offices, because they're home now. Wherever that home base is, find out where it is, visit them. Make an appointment first. Don't just show up. The police might not be very happy about people showing up wanting to talk to senators unannounced, but point is, they do work for you. Even if you don't vote for them, it doesn't matter. Okay, they still work for you. I didn't vote for any of the people that I'm going to talk to. Okay, so do that. If you care, do that. And then tell somebody else to do that. Get a bunch of friends and all y'all do that. I just want to get across to you. Don't say you care and then don't do anything. Especially if you're in a position to. Right now, you are. If you're in the United States, you have senators, and that senator is going to vote whether this UAP DA gets into this bill and if it's intact or not. You have direct influence on them. Direct. And trust me, I don't think there's any person who will ever visit any senator with the opposite passion. They will never go and say, please vote against the UAP DA in this NDAA. They don't care. There's no opposition to it. They just need to hear that you want it. Okay? So if you do it. Do something about it. Let me know how it's going. Send me a note. You get me on X at Manti4. If email's your thing, it's a lot harder to get a reply on that because it's just so time consuming. But if you want, Christopher at wingsoftheeagle.com. You can do that as well. But again, please click the link in the description below. Go to the New Paradigm Institute. Find out about what this is. And then you can fill out a little form there. That'll get you right to where it needs to be to at least notify them. And then the Citizens for Disclosure will make contact with you so you can take further action. It's not just about this bill, by the way. There's a whistleblower new whistleblower law also that's been introduced thanks to this group, because it's not, the protections for whistleblowers aren't adequate. You saw that with David Grush and all that last year. People are afraid. They know it's not good enough for them to whistleblow. In other words, disclose and reveal illegal activity, unethical and illegal activity in our government. They're afraid to, as far as this UFO topic goes, because there is consequences. There's not supposed to be consequences for whistleblowers. That's one of the great protections we have in America, is you're not, if it's legit, if your complaints are valid, you can't be retaliated against in any way. You're protected by law. But it's not good enough, because they're still not being protected and being threatened and being acted upon. Okay. That's what you can do. Get to your local, contact your senators right now before August is over. I mean, do it now. You're going to need the time to get an appointment. Okay. And then after that, whenever the Senate does its thing, and hopefully it all is included, it's not touched, it's not stripped out or whatever, and it goes whole cloth into the House, then we have the debate in the House, because that's the final place where it can be changed. That's where it happened last year, and if things got gutted and screwed up, that's where it's going to happen again this year. So that's the next stage. But by the end of this year, by the time the election is over and all that stuff, this whole topic is over. The NDAA will be, whatever form, it'll be submitted probably in December at some point, for the president to sign. That will be one of his last acts, actually. President Biden, right? Because he's retiring. So one of his last things he's going to do is sign this NDAA into law. So let's put the pressure on him. Now's the time. Okay. Now let's go to questions, and they're good ones. Okay. What is the Manhattan Project? The Manhattan Project is the code name for the development of the nuclear bomb in the 1940s. In World War II, obviously, you had a very evil, belligerent force called Nazi Germany and their allies. And the Nazi war machine was extremely effective. And not only were they winning basically everywhere they went, obviously you had the Holocaust occurring, and they're creating new, greater, worse weapons on a regular basis. And the rumor was, well-informed rumor, because we had spies and people coming out of the Nazi programs claiming that they were working on and were very, very close to achieving what we call an atomic weapon. A weapon that literally split the atom and used the insane amount of energy from the atom, and have harnessed it, or are about to harness it, to create the most destructive weapons of all time. And if the Nazis got that capability, they could make any nation on earth surrender. And this world would be a very different place. So the United States and Great Britain and people who were in the know, but mostly America, said, you know what? We're in a race against it now. We've got to beat him to the punch. We've got to create, because if we can't stop him from doing it, we've got to create it ourselves. And so they got Nazi scientists that, and all these physicists from Europe. If you saw the movie Oppenheimer, that's a decent explanation of what happened. So the Manhattan Project was the code name for the entire nuclear atomic bomb program. In order to do it, though, they had to keep it secret. If anyone found out that we were building it, now the race is on, and everyone's going to try, and everyone's going to know it's possible, because it was basically a secret from the world. No one knew it was even a thing. Right? That it was physically impossible. Well, no, it's not. To keep it all secret, this project had to be compartmentalized and secret, one piece from another. The actual bomb making group was over here. The physics group was over here. That, the logistics of it were over here. So people were working on the nuclear bomb, atomic bomb project, and had no idea what it was. That's the Manhattan Project. And of course it worked. They kept a secret, even though thousands and thousands and thousands of people were involved. Usually that doesn't work well for keeping a secret, right? No, it doesn't. It would never be kept. So they made it legally separate. You can't know about this. Your money, you don't know where it's coming from or where it's going. This is what your project is. You work in this city. You do this thing in this building. That's all you know. But it's part of a bigger project. So almost no one knew what the Manhattan Project was. Only Oppenheimer, Albert Einstein. Okay, there was a few people who knew it. The president, the Secretary of Defense, the Army, right? They knew, but not many others. That's the UFO thing. That's literally what they've used since the 1940s, since the atomic bomb was invented. Right away, what do you have? Nuclear tests. And then this little thing in 1947 called Roswell. It's just a few years after by the way, the Enola Gay, the plane that actually dropped the nuclear weapons on Japan, or on Hiroshima, guess where it went and was stationed after their bombing run? Roswell, New Mexico. That was our main nuclear weapons development. This is where we tested it, the Trinity Project, right? That was all New Mexico. So this is where all the nuclear stuff was, a lot of it was going on. Anyway, so right on the heels of that, we had this UFO problem that they had to keep a secret. So they treated it in the same way. And not only similarly, like, well, it's a new Manhattan Project, but it's under the same laws. It's after we created atomic bombs and energy. Now we said, oh, well, we can actually use this for electricity and, regular civilian uses, right? So there's a new thing called the Department of Energy, and there's laws governing if it's nuclear, it's automatically secret. If it's atomic energy, it's automatically classified. That's why UFOs are automatically classified, because there's atomic nuclear radiation involved. Anyway, I hope that answers your question, brother. Am I meeting a member of the House of Representatives and a senator? Yes, I have appointments today and tomorrow. One senator and one representative meeting. Are you saying that American military contractors have UAP crash debris material which they may have incorporated into their military tech? I'm saying they have it and they've tried. As far as I know, the best information that we can gather right now is they have not been able to incorporate it. Some folks say they have, and you can research and do your reading on various sources, real good ones, people who actually were in the government or in the army, in the development of these things. I'm reading a book right now that you should all probably read because it's kind of required for the subject, which is called The Day After Roswell by Philip Corso. Colonel Philip Corso is actually in the Army R&D program and literally had the materials from Roswell, some of them. And he spilled the beans. Unlike these chickens today, sorry, but unlike these chickens who are afraid to reveal secrets and go against the NDAAs that they signed, this guy just spilled it all. Good for him. And he's passed away now, but the point is, he's one of the guys who would say, yes, we recovered it. Yes, contractors had it. Yes, the government, the military had it. And they tried to exploit it. And according to him, we've utilized the wisdom or the knowledge, the scientific knowledge that we gleaned from that tech actually has led, according to Mr. Corso, has led to modern technology like fiber optic cables, different forms of communication, circuitry. But the military side, the military tech, I don't believe any there's been any results. I think there's been a lot of frustration over the years, and apparently one or more of these private companies which have this tech, because the military couldn't break it, they couldn't reverse engineer it. They got stumped and stuck. Some of these private companies have also tried for now decades and can't do it either, and they're sick of it. They're like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. Who do I give it back to? I don't want us to keep this secret anymore. It's really not. I mean, the NDAA is something that happens every year. It's just the way the military gets funded. And this provision has been coming for a few years, where it's becoming more and more out in the open as far as what needs to be written in the laws, as there's the technology and what we've recovered and what we know, and the secrets that have been kept from American citizens, and how their money has been abused and power has been abused and accountability has gone out the window, all that stuff. It's becoming more and more public. So it's really not bravery at all. It's just being a citizen, having a civic responsibility. If you do care about something, do it. Yes. Yeah, the Oppenheimer is kind of a biopic about Robert Oppenheimer himself, but the majority of the film is about his reason why we know who he is, basically, which is the Manhattan Project. His involvement, he basically started it and came up with a lot of the ideas for how to structure the whole thing. Yeah, it did work. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, just one more thing I wanted to say about this. Yeah, they should, all senators will know that they have to write and submit a authorization act, so-called, to fund the military and the various projects in the black budget. There's such a thing in reality called the black budget, which is unannounced, unaccountable money. It's called black because you can't see it. That's illegal. The way our country runs is very, very specific on the role of the Congress and the fact that they have to authorize every dollar. You have to know exactly where the money is and where it's going. Even if you want to get secret programs involved, even with the Manhattan Project, even with things like that, things that maybe you could say should be secret or should be classified or kept in the dark from the public, because, if the public knows and the earth knows now, can't keep anything a secret. Okay. But there's always a way to do that where someone is informed, even if it's only 8 people in the Congress. It's called the Gang of 8. Those 8 people, we've talked about this before, but those 8 people by law must know everything. They must know where every dollar goes, every program. Is that the reality? No. Because this unelected other government decides they don't have to tell, because it's all classified and they don't have the need to know. It's a real clash of civilizations, if you will. Okay. All right. I think that's about all I have to say about this. Please, please, please don't let this opportunity pass. Again, it's in the Senate right now. You can play a part. I don't care what state you're in. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be in New York because Schumer is in New York and he's leading the charge on this. That's not relevant, because all the senators will vote. And any senator can become a co-sponsor. Well, who just somebody else just signed on yesterday. Trying to find it real quick. Martin Heinrich. Senator Martin Heinrich became the fourth sponsor of Schumer's new UAPDA. That was yesterday. Okay. So it's fluid. It's not a done deal. It's not even the people involved can change, right? This guy was not on it, and now he is. So reach out to your senator. If there's 100 senators, 100. And so if this is the fourth sponsor, so then there's 96 to go. If they hear from people in their district who can just passionately explain why they think it's important and why their senator should vote for this and why they should be public in their support and rally others to the cause, they'll listen. And that's where we're at now. So get to your senators, get them now to pass the UAP Disclosure Act in the Senate. And then after that, that could only be a few weeks from now. It could be September. It could be over. And then the House takes it up. And now it's the House's turn. And then that's really important where you talk to your representative. I would do it now. I am doing it now. But especially by when that comes around to engage or re-engage with your representative at that point as well, especially, and there's a lot more representatives than there's 500? I forget now. More than senators, but especially if you are, or they are a part of the committees that pass this legislation through first, because it goes to, depending on what it's about, the military stuff goes into, the oversight committee, the select committee on this and that. Okay, so if you're on those committees who are actually tearing apart the bill and trying to take things out or put new parts in, engage those representatives if you live in those districts, because there's no point in somebody from Florida complaining about hey guys, get your congressman in Ohio to vote Mike Turner out, or I don't know. It doesn't matter what you say in Florida. People in Ohio in his district have to care. If we don't, then it's going to get worse, and it's going to be what we would call catastrophic situation. And folks, if you're listening and you don't think this matters, you couldn't be more wrong. You couldn't be more mistaken, because when this comes out, and it probably will in a very bad way, major earth-shaking, culturally splitting earthquake. And you can downplay it, and people are downplaying it. That's just a huge mistake. So if you want to be a part of the solution, not the problem, do what you can now. Okay? Even if maybe I know somebody, I'm not in America, but I know somebody who is, and I'm going to contact them, make sure that they do this to get their senators on the line like now. Then that's what you can do. All right? All right, friends, this has been Unsealed. I had thoughts to do, and we will circle back to other kind of beefier, deeper questions about what's going on, like abductions, like Majestic 12, like whether demons are really involved in this whole thing, or what does the Bible teach about that? All that stuff I want to talk about in the next couple of weeks and months. So if I have your support, please, just like I'm asking you to do something with the Congress, then support the show. Give what you can at wingsoftheeagle.com/support unsealed. We have a Patreon up as well. People aren't really into it right now. That's fine. But we're going to continue to put out content that's deep dive stuff in there. And we want to do whatever we can to help this forward. All right, friends. Till next time, this is Unsealed. Christopher Manti. Go reach me on X again, Manti4, and Lord willing, see you next time. Unsealed. We'll be back.